Hi again, everybody. Welcome to Inside Golf. A little while ago here on Inside Golf, we had a show on the 100-year history of the Philadelphia section of the PGA. Tough to recount and retell the stories of 100 years of golf by the Philadelphia section. So we have part two coming up today with Dick Smith, a former local president and national president of the PGA, and two other former local presidents, Pete Trenham, the noted golf historian, and from Medford Village, Leo DeGisi. Plus, the current executive director, Jeff Surrett, will also join us on today's Centennial panel, part two, the history of the Philadelphia section of the PGA of America. It's next on Inside Golf. The 24th season of Inside Golf is presented by Destination Montco Golf. 50 courses, over 300,000 yards. Check them out at montcogolf.com. By the First Tee, Greater Philadelphia. Building game changers. The First Tee not only helps young men and women become better golfers, but most important, better people. Get involved. Visit firstteephiladelphia.org. By the Philadelphia Association of Golf Course Superintendents, a community of professionals enhancing the game of golf since 1925. Make sure you thank your golf course superintendent today. By Gap, celebrating amateur golf since 1897. By Jersey Man and Philly Man magazine, a digital publication and private business network. Read the current issue free at jerseymanmagazine.com. And by Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia PGA section, the experts in the game and business of golf. And celebrating their centennial year, take time to thank your local men and women PGA professionals.
Golf is the great equalizer. For many, this journey is an escape from reality, a chance to be part of a team, a career opportunity. PGA Reach impacts lives through golf by lifting people up, giving them hope, and sending them down an alternate path that they never saw coming. With PGA Reach Philadelphia, as in life and in golf, the most important shot you take is the next one.
Welcome back to Inside Golf. This is the centennial year for the Philadelphia section of the PGA of America. It all began back in 1921, and here we are 100 years later, seated on a little porch overlooking Huntington Valley Country Club with some gentlemen who know a lot about the history and have served the Philadelphia section of the PGA, and in one case served nationally as president of the PGA of America. Our panel today includes, in his 18th year as executive director, Mr. Jeff Surrett.
Harry, thank you.
Good to see you always. Dick Smith. He's the guy I was just referring to as national president and Philadelphia section president. Great player, great administrator, and also his son is a pro, his grandson is a pro, and his brother Tom. Good friend of the show, by the way.
I know.
Good to have you, Dick.
Thank you, Harry.
Historian, without exception, the number one guy when it comes to keeping a history of golf in the Philadelphia area, Pete Trenham. For years, he was the head professional at St. David's, proudly wears that 1921 cap, and he's with us again. Always a pleasure, Mr. Trenham. And Leo DeGisi, he was the head pro at Medford Village for 29 years. He, too, was a local section president and is now listed as pro emeritus. Jeff, on the topic of who makes up this section, we had you fellows assembled a while ago and you talked about the number of pros. It's well over 800 in the section, 4 states. But how about, shall we say, the new breed? Where are they coming from? Are they local? Are they from all around the country? Maybe they had roots to the Philadelphia area. How does one describe, shall we say, those getting involved as a pro in the Philadelphia section?
Well, I think, over time, becoming a PGA member has changed. When when Dick and Pete became PGA members, all you had to do was sign a form, send in $50, and you were a PGA member. That was a quick summary, but and Leo just had to send in some Titleist box tops, and that was all he had to do. But no, our education and our membership programs have changed over time. Now we have, I think, 18 PGM universities, where a lot of our associates come from. So along with getting a 4-year degree, they're also becoming a PGA member, almost direct elect when they come out of college. So, our PGA member base certainly has changed. I was a green grass professional myself. I went through the apprentice program, a green grass apprentice program. Actually, both of these gentlemen, my membership documents have their signatures on them, Leo and Dick being local and national president. So, our PGA membership, attaining PGA membership has changed. So the folks that are coming into the Philadelphia section, it's certainly changed a bit, bringing new folks into the profession.
Leo, when you were the section president, I believe you presented a 60 tournament schedule for local professionals. How'd you make out with that?
Well, it was quite daunting for the staff, but as I say, we had good staff back then with Greg Shreves, and of course with my predecessors who had put a lot of their effort and touch on it. But we had, at the time, we had some good corporations who were using our tournament program to market their products and service, their charities, and it really meshed really well. For instance, Eagle Lodge, we had the club championship, $100,000 purse. In 1991, 92, that was unheard of, to have a purse that high for a section championship. But, it was due to Cigna, and we also did some work with the Philadelphia Phillies and Mike Schmidt. So it was just a way of reaching out and making everything work for the section, and again, deliver playing opportunities for our members, since that's what they wanted, and obviously they wanted a purse.
Yeah, I think I read where purses grew on about a 10% increase per year during that time that you were talking about. Jeff, I know from our own coverage of the Haverford, for instance, there's nothing else like that event, annual event, thanks to the Haverford Trust, $100,000, and most of it goes to the winning pro, right?
Well, now $100,000 goes to the winning pro. So it's $100 for first and then $5,000 for second. That event lives outside of our tournament regulations.
And everybody's
but it's certainly one of a kind across the country. So we're certainly appreciative of Mr. Cannell and the folks at Haverford to continue that event. So we're very lucky to have it here in Philadelphia.
And like everything, it took a little COVID hiatus last year.
It did.
And it will be back, though, in the fall. So we look forward to being at Sunnybrook for that event. As I said, that's known around the country as a one of a kind. All right. Dick, take us back when you were breaking in to the Philadelphia area. You came from the Baltimore area and came up here. Where was your first job?
Well, my first job was at Green Valley Country Club, 1961, I want to say. I think it was 61 or 62. I worked for a fellow by the name of George Griffin Jr., whose father was the pro before him, who passed away the fall before I came up. A great mentor, taught me a lot. And then I went to work for Dick Hendrickson over in Jersey and spent basically the rest of my career in between New Jersey and Philadelphia.
When did you know you wanted to be a golf professional?
Oh, I'll tell you, I knew it early, and I can remember distinctly going to my 11th grade English teacher, who was, I'm going to call her mean. She was one of those.
Were you being kind in that description?
I was being kind. And I was not a great student because of my other desires, but I went to her one day and I said, I know I'm failing this class, but I just want you to know I don't have any intention of going to college. As soon as I'm done high school, I'm going to become a golf professional. And I knew it then, and kind of the rest was history. But during those high school years, I worked at the golf course during the summers. Part of how I got credits to become a PGA member at the age of 21, because back then you had to work 5 years, and those summer employments counted toward my membership. Kind of like the box top of the.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's a different, you know, but you worked a lot harder.
There, but that's where I got. My dad was a player, an amateur player, a nice amateur player on the public courses in Baltimore. And
so it'd be safe to say that an English teacher did not try to persuade you to go in a different direction.
She did not, but it also didn't work because she flunked me. I had to repeat 11th grade English.
So it took a little
in the 12th,
a little extra time to get there,
and had to get out of high school.
Okay. Well, we'll thank her somehow.
Yeah.
For everything that turned out to be the right way for you. All right, panel, stay with us. Folks, stay with us as well. We'll be back. We're talking about these gentlemen's contributions specifically to the Philadelphia section of the PGA. 100 years is the anniversary this year. We're back in a moment at Huntington Valley here on Inside Golf.
They're not just familiar faces. They're your friends and neighbors. It's their small businesses, a beating heart that makes a neighborhood a home. The places with a pick-me-up or a story that inspires, where you can share a taste of comfort with the personal touch that makes our world shine a little brighter. Support small and make a big difference. Make it local. Make it Main Street. Make it Modco.
Summer can't be contained to just one moment. It can be exhilarating, breathtaking, refreshing, and so much more. So never settle for just any summer. Make yours ultimate. Receive a credit of up to $3,500 through September 6th.
Welcome back to Inside Golf. Thanks for joining us as we are here assembled on the patio at Huntington Valley Country Club. Beautiful sight behind us here at Huntington Valley with our Centennial panel. This is the 100th anniversary of the Philadelphia section of the PGA, and we have some gentlemen here who, over the course of time, were either the president of the local section, in one case, Dick Smith, the national president, and Jeff Surratt is here again as the executive director in his 18th year, along with Dick and Pete Trenham and Leo DeGisi. We heard about Dick's first, should I say, inklings of becoming a golf professional. We're not going to get into when exactly lightning struck you, but once you became a head pro at St. David's, where you were for 29 years, you were involved in hiring, I guess, I don't know how many, dozens of assistant pros maybe in 29 years, but how has that changed now? No longer are you the head pro, but I'm sure you see how it's done today. What's the process? Has it changed radically?
Before computers and social media and all that, you know, we had a newsletter we sent around, and in the letter it would say, you know, Pete Trenham at St. David looking for an assistant or a second assistant or a caddy master or whatever, and went around, and each month we had a list of things there, and it went out to everybody, and it went around, and maybe it stayed on there for a couple of months, and they took it off. You know, if you had a kid growing up at your club and they said they came to see and said, I want to be a golf pro, it's like word of mouth. We just went around and helped each other out, and you know, that was the way it worked.
Leo, how about your experience in terms of when you were at Medford Village as the head pro and people you had to hire to be under you?
Well, every year was different, and you had challenges most of the time. I've always wanted to hire assistants who had talent, had a desire to be in the business, and it was still, you know, mostly by word of mouth or newsletter. But later on, in the later 12 to 15 years, electronic notifications were much more easily and timely in hiring staff. But the business has changed because it's now it requires so much higher level of skill, education, When I first began into the business, I was probably one of the few that had a college degree. But now, if you're hiring an assistant, if they don't have a college degree, you're almost going to suggest that they find some other career to work in, because you have to have the skill set required to not only teach the game, play the game, but you have to manage the game. So, you know, those things, Dick Smith might not have been hired because other than he could play, you know. But, and I know that Pete Trenham, you know, told me once, you know, you don't really need a college education because college, all they do is teach you how to work for somebody else. Now, you may not remember saying that, but I do, and I often use it because maybe that is the right description of a college education in one sense, that you have to be able to conform, adapt, and follow policy and procedures. And so those were the individuals that, you know, I looked for. Obviously, and you try to hire tens wherever you can, and hopefully I've done that.
Jeff, now in 18 years as executive director, you see a different type of young assistant pro as opposed to when you first started? And do you have like education or seminars, workshops for these young people to learn how to not work for somebody else but eventually work for themselves?
Well, absolutely. I think most of the associates that are coming in now a lot of them come through the PGM apprentice program, or excuse me, the PGM university program like we talked about. There still is the PGM associate program where it's over 800 hours of education that they have to go through to get to their membership ultimately. So, you know, I would say, you know, young folks coming into golf today, they're smart. You know, they're very smart. They're very technologically savvy. You know, all of the systems now at clubs are computerized. Our tournament systems are computerized. So, you know, what they need to know going into a job is much different, you know, than what it used to be. So I would say, you know, all of these young folks coming in, if you went through a PGM university, you went through 18 months of an internship process as well. So you got to see what the business was like. I think, and please chime in, you know, when some folks came to you and wanted to be a golf professional, they came in with delusions of grandeur. They figure, I'm going to play golf every day, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It's like, you know, you're going to be in the shop, you're going to fold shirts, you know, you're going to give lessons, and you're going to take care of the membership. So I think some folks back in the day when they wanted to become a golf professional, they didn't really know what becoming a golf professional was. I think the folks now, especially the ones that go through the PGM program, they get it. You know, they test the waters in different avenues, whether they want to be an instructor or they want to be in golf operations or whatnot. They certainly come in much more, I would think, well prepared to do the job.
We'll be back. We're talking about these gentlemen's contributions specifically to the Philadelphia section of the PGA. 100 years is the anniversary this year. We're back in a moment at Huntington Valley here on Inside Golf. With more than 20 events during a 6-month season, the Workhorse Tour combines the competitive spirit of professional golf with the added bonus of flexible scheduling. And golfers only need to tee it up once during that 7-day window, see their name on weekly and season-long leaderboards. Here are the most recent results on tour. To learn more about the Workhorse Tour, visit workhorsetour.com today.
For over 2 decades, First Tee has created experiences that build character. We believe every kid deserves to feel supported, safe to try something new, and to be prepared for what comes next. We develop their swing, but more importantly, their inner strength. Because we know what's inside doesn't just count, it changes the game. Come join us at First Tee.
Welcome back to Inside Golf. We're here at Huntington Valley Country Club with our Centennial panel, is what we're calling it today. These gentlemen, well, in one case, he's the executive director of the local section, Philadelphia PGA, Jeff Surratt.
Harry, how are you?
And we have 3 former local section presidents, and in one case, Dick Smith, a national president of the PGA of America. Let's pick up on what we were just talking about in our previous segment, Dick, about a job description, what you're looking for, where they're coming from, education, college perhaps or not. back in the day when you started, I mean, it wasn't just giving lessons, playing, it was also being a merchandiser. I mean, you had to pick out your wardrobe for the coming season, selling golf clubs and balls and a lot of things in that pro shop. That's changed a little bit, correct?
Yeah, a whole bunch. I guess best described, we owned the pro shops because that was pretty much our main source of income at a club. The clubs would typically hire you on a retainer, very small, and you had the pro shop, you had the bag storage, you had the driving range, sometimes had the carts, and that was your sources and instruction, and that was your sources combined of income. So the club had very little exposure financially in hiring their golf pros. But as things evolved, well, many of the clubs saw that as an income source, the pro shop. When things got really bad in our industry back a few years, they had their eyes woken up as to just how good it really was. But many of the clubs would take over the shop and put the golf pro on a salary versus a small retainer, and then he might make most of his income teaching or whatever it was. And Jeffrey alluded to it. Our business is more specialized now than it was back in our time. We did it all, so to speak, all of those various areas. But today, golf professionals, young ones, can earmark their slot in what they want to do, and whether they want to be in operations or administration or teaching or merchandising or tournament operations and all of those different things that are available. And then as a result, our education programs nationally and locally adapted to those areas and became a certification opportunity for young people to get to put on their resume. So that evolution has changed dramatically over the years.
Right. We have a couple minutes left here, and I'd like to go around the horn to get each of you in a minute or so to give us a perfect, shall we say, bit of advice for maybe a viewer or a young viewer or an older viewer who has some young kids on thinking about a career in golf. Jeff, first of all, you want them to continue to think that way, but what are some of the necessary ingredients from your perspective as an administrator? What advice would you give?
Yes, ultimately, you have to be a people person if you want to be in golf. If you're not a people person, don't even bother. They talk about soft skills, but being able to do that, and golf is a business now. I think you need to be technologically sound. You need to be okay with it's a dawn to dusk business. It's a weekend business. So you need to be aware of what you're getting into. But it's certainly a wonderful career. You're in a beautiful setting. You're generally dealing with really good people. So at the end of the day, you need to love to be around people and you need to know what you're getting into. But golf is a wonderful opportunity for a career. That's for sure.
Dick, you probably had to do that with your son and even your grandson now. But what advice did you give them, and what would you continue to give for future generations?
Well, I mean, pretty much what everybody's talking about. From my standpoint or perspective, there's no better job to do in one's lifetime than being a golf professional at a club, public, private, and doing all those things that you're trained and want to do to help people enjoy the game more. So they call this the game of a lifetime. I think it's a job of a lifetime. However, I would discourage young people after telling them all of that. I would then discourage them to some point just what the nitty-gritty of it all is, because they come in on the bottom level. They're putting the carts away. They're washing clubs. They're picking balls.
It's not as glamorous as you may think. Yeah.
And they're picking balls off the range, and they're emptying trash cans, and they're doing all the dirty work. And the last thing they're doing is playing golf.
Pete, quickly, 30 seconds, 20 seconds.
I'll tell you what my wife Francie says after living with me for over 50 years. Don't do it unless it's the only thing you want to do. Because
it's a full-time commitment.
It's a difficult because you work up all the holidays, and you work a lot of long hours, and you got to have the right spouse, you know, and all that to make it work, which we've been lucky that we did. And
Leo, you're hitting cleanup here.
Okay, I would probably say the two most important things that you have to have is one is passion for the game. If you don't have passion for the game, then you're in the wrong business. The other important thing, as Pete alluded to, if you're going to be married, want to have a family, you better have a supporting wife. And I think everyone here at this table has had a supporting wife to be able to work weekends and holidays and the hours.
Right, weekends are not off time.
You're in the service industry.
All right. Thank you, Leo, Pete, Dick, and Jeff Zarette. And thank you, viewers. Hope you picked something up on what it's like to be a golf professional at a high level, and as Dick said, maybe down there in the scrub level, but you got to begin somewhere. And congratulations to the Philadelphia section of the PGA on its 100th anniversary. Glad that Inside Golf could be a little part of that. I'm Harry Donahue, and remember, no matter how bad it's going for you out there, don't pick up and don't give up if you're thinking about a career in golf. We'll see you next time on Inside Golf. The 24th season of Inside Golf is presented by Destination Montco Golf. 50 courses, over 300,000 yards. Check them out at montcogolf.com. By the First Tee, Greater Philadelphia. Building game changers. The First Tee not only helps young men and women become better golfers, but most important, better people. Get involved. Visit firstteephiladelphia.org. By the Philadelphia Association of Golf Course Superintendents, a community of professionals enhancing the game of golf since 1925. Make sure you thank your golf course superintendent today. By Gap, celebrating amateur golf since 1897. By Jersey Man and Philly Man magazine, a digital publication and private business network. Read the current issue free at jerseymanmagazine.com. And by Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia PGA section, the experts in the game and business of golf, and celebrating their centennial year. Take time to thank your local men and women PGA professionals.